My biggest clip ever on socials, going back years, was a video of the beach chicane. It went viral. It was over 1 million views of just me going through the beach chicane. And the people that watched that certainly didn't care that there was less overtaking at turn 11. So what grows the sport more, allowing them to fly through? I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear what people like, whether they want to comment.
I'm surprised you didn't get a copyright strike or a legal letter for posting that.
Oh, mate, I would have got in trouble for sure for posting that.
But yeah, I love Surface Paradise. That was one of my favorite tracks. I really love the long track, but the short track where they condensed it, the battles we had. I remember the first year it was the short track, the race I had with Jamie and Mark Winterbottom for the lead. It was one of the best races I've ever had, and I lost, but I just have such good memories, and the atmosphere, the way the cars bounce around. It's the greatest track. So, but yeah, every year, like practice one was a complete joke and it was an embarrassment. But I don't know what the solution is. We haven't found a way to fix it.
Yeah, that was that race. I remember that one back. That was 2010, I believe, that you and Jamie had a battle.
Yep.
So
SP Tools car, was it? You were still at Stones, yeah?
Yeah, I remember that. Unbelievable battle. I had come back from the UK, from British Formula Ford, and I was with Team Vodafone in the pit because RD was looking after me and supporting me. And so I was going for them, but I was already quite good mates with you. And I remember on the Sunday night, we had a dinner planned with all our mates. And I'm like, I was so torn in that because I'm like, oh, fuck. It was like my first weekend with Team Vodafone and Triple Eight. I really, really wanted them to win. But that was like I think that was one of the most iconic events, whether like on YouTube or anything, that has been shared. That last like 5 or 6 laps has been shared so much between, I think Jamie ended up winning that day, but it's probably the day where coming second, I don't know, you get caught up in I imagine the race itself outweighs the result in the end of the day because like you led at points, cutting the chicane and then giving it back. It was a pretty special, that was fucking cool, that race. I remember that vividly.
Oh, I remember, and it was perfect. It was a red Holden versus a blue Ford.
Yeah.
And just, that's patriotic. It was a Kiwi versus an Aussie. And, that was like my first – I hadn't won a race at that point. And I remember, like, I hit him at the last corner to get the position anyway, so I probably would have had to give it back. Like, I got it in the wrong way. He really checked me up, and I couldn't get off him, bumped him, and we ended up side by side down the front straight. And I replayed that. Like, I still replay it sometimes to this day. I'm like, shit, what could I have done different? And I remember that day I flew back home on the Monday morning to go do Targa in New Zealand. And I remember doing the Targa as a zero car with Dad. And everywhere I went in New Zealand, it was like the hottest thing ever. Like, everyone was talking about it, how good the race was. And it was a really cool – that was like, it was a really big moment for me. But I remember that race just – the buzz and the atmosphere. I think there's a footage of they cut to the garage.
Yeah.
You can see Jimmy Stone or Ross Stone. They're both fist pumping, and like you can see. To me, that's peak. Like that's why you do the sport. That was one of the coolest races I've ever been a part of, and I didn't win the bloody thing.
Actually, it's interesting because we got asked this question last week. Our most memorable race that we didn't win or didn't have a good result. I mean, you finished second that day, so it's still a good result, but that's obviously one of yours, Shane.
Sound check.
Love it.
Good question, yeah.
That's a hard one. Like, I've had some awesome races this year where I've come fucking 80th or something. And it's been awesome. But if this Bathurst 2019, there was a late race restart. I think it was Scotty Mack's first Bathurst win. Mm-hmm. And man, those last couple of laps just hounding him. I was never going to pass him with the aero wash, but we were both on the limit. That was awesome. Probably the most memorable is Bathurst 2016 because that, when Jamie had the crash with Scotty Mack and Garth Tander, and I followed Will Davison across the line, that set up my championship year. That was probably my most memorable, like, bizarre. I think it was actually the closest competitive finish in Bathurst history for a win, but I was third. It was odd. It was odd. I remember those last few laps knowing Jamie had a penalty. It was for the race lead. I'm like, shit, I can win my first Bathurst, but I can guarantee second and get massive championship points. I remember just having this massive internal battle in my head. Like, shit, what am I going to do here? And I could have had some big lunges at the elbow and I pulled out of them. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably my most memorable because I got second and I got huge championship points over Jamie, but I had a Bathurst win right there for the taking that I could have made a crazy move and taken, and I didn't do it. But what means more, championship or Bathurst?
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky you've got a couple of both, mate, so it's all good.
Yeah, fucking show off.
Yeah, but at the time I didn't.
Shane, actually, he's the top.
Oh,
we saw that. You just pulled. Don't try and pretend like that didn't happen. You just mentioned, Ford versus Holden back in the day. That was like peak at that Gold Coast 2010. Yep. And we've already talked a bit about, manufacturer involvement in the US and how unbelievably impressive that is and how involved they are. It's constantly a talking point here in Australia is parity. And we've avoided talking about it because I don't really think the conversation itself brings any value. Yeah, but I don't think it brings a lot of value to the sport. I think what we're doing here, regardless of what people think, we're not just shit canning the sport. But parity's come up again because Gold Coast Cam Waters mentioned that he still thinks that the reason they're not competitive at Bathurst is because of parity. I think the category's done more than they've spent so much money now, and I think it is closer than ever. I think my experience, before I pose the question, my experience now is I've driven for a couple of Chev teams in Gen 3, and the balance in the T8 car is, and I experienced it across Bathurst when it wasn't in the window. I was down on Jamie down the straight. We tuned the car up. I'm back in the window and we're quick down the straight. And then I look at what T8's done through Ford or Chev, and they've done such a good job. I think there's more to the conversation than just saying either Supercars isn't doing a good enough job or the tools that Ford have at the moment aren't matching the tools that Chev have. But I'm interested to see what your perspective is on the parity debate, especially, you've been at the forefront of it and now you're spectating. So what are your thoughts on the parity debate here with Ford versus Holden in Supercars, mate?
Chev,
yeah.
Well, it's a shit. Yeah, Chev. It's the shit conversation and it's an ugly word, but yeah, you're on both sides of the fence last year. At the start of the year, they used James Courtney and myself to paritize the cars and drive them and, try and equalize them. And, the cars were very different characteristics in the way they drove. And speaking of Richie Stanaway, who's drove both, they still have those differences, but it's so hard to know. Like, they have spent a lot of money. They've done the right things with the wind tunnel here down the road from where I am. They've done the engine testing, and every single time the Ford is better. They at Talon Bend last year, where I think it was the Ford got its upgrade. Like, they were stupid fast, but they were so draggy. And then they went to Bathurst. They killed us over the top, but they were slow down the straight. Then I think they got another upgrade, and they had crazy amount of downforce. But it worked out because we had better engines at Chevy, what it felt like. But every single time we went to the dyno this year, I had Kenny Mack stay with us earlier in the year, and like, the Chevy is down on power to the Ford, which is the opposite of what you think. And to be honest, last year the Ford seemed gutless, but on the dyno it shows more power. But yeah, it's an odd one because the Ford wins in every area, but the Chev wins on the track. But it's only because of Triple Eight. When you look at the team's championship order, it's Triple Eight. Where's the next Chev team? So it's an odd one because the top Ford team, you look what they did last week. They put the fuel in the wrong car. Like, are they operating at the same level? It's very hard to know. So for me, the biggest test will be next year. They've spent all this money equalising. Brody is along with George and also Tom. I think he may be going to DJR. I'm not sure. Might not be public yet. Sorry. But
you've just dropped it, so that's cool.
Knowing those guys, yeah, sorry, Tom. But they can take the setup. They know everything they know about the Chevy. They can take it to the Ford. That's going to be the biggest parity equalizer, isn't it?